To run a query on your database, you can first click the Create tab one time, and then click the Query Wizard button here on the Create menu. Which will cause a new query window to appear. You can then select the type of query that you wish to run, such as crosstab or simple. Then click the OK button. You can select a table from the Table Queries box. Then select the fields from the table that you wish to appear in this query, which in this example will be Sales Associate, Item, Retail Price, and Sale Date. After you have selected the fields, you can click the Next button. Select Detail or Summary. Click the Next button. You can title this query by first clicking inside the title box to put the blinking line there. Press the backspace key on your computer keyboard and then type in something different. Finally, you can click the Finish button to run this query. To close a query, you can first use the mouse to place the tip of the screen arrow directly over the Query tab at the top of the table. Then click the right mouse button one time, and then select Close from the pop-up menu. The query that you created, until you delete it, will appear on the left side of the Access window. You can open a query by double-clicking on it. Knock, knock. You can delete a query from your database by first closing the query and then by right mouse clicking on the query on the left side of the Access window, and by selecting Delete from the pop-up menu. A warning window will appear asking if you're sure that you want to delete this query. If so, click the Yes button one time. To run a custom query on your database, you can first click the Create tab and then click the Query Design button here on the Create menu. Select the table that you wish to use from the Show Table window that will appear. Close the Show Table window by clicking its Close button. Then select the fields that you wish to use in this query, as shown here. So we've selected 4 fields from the monthly sales table to use in this query. But we want to limit this query to items with a retail price of over $50. To do that, we'll click in the criteria box here in the retail price column, and then we'll type greater than 50. Now that we have selected the fields for this query and have specified a criteria, we'll click the Run button near the upper left corner of the Access window. And here is the result of our query. If we look in the retail price column, we see that all of the items returned in this query are over $50. Again, you can sort data by clicking the Sort button. For additional information on query criterias, you can first click the Help button near the top right corner of the Access window. Which will cause the Access Help window to appear. If you wish, you can click Queries here in the Browse Access Help section. Or you can type Query Criteria into the search box and press the Enter key on your computer keyboard one time, and then click Examples of Query Criteria. You can close this window by clicking the X near the top right corner of the Help window. Redundant or duplicate data is usually undesirable in a database. If we sort the sales associate field here, we see that we have some duplicate data. Theodore Osborne, for example, appears 3 times in the sales associate column. If we open the employees table by double-clicking on it, we see each of the sales associate names listed 1 time. In this chapter, we're going to use the primary keys for each of these sales associate rows as foreign keys in the monthly sales table. The primary key, remember, is the unique identifier for a particular row or record, while a foreign key is simply the primary key from another table. The first row in the employees table has 1 for a primary key. This row contains information on the sales associate Jack Benny. Therefore, we can switch to the monthly sales table and do a find and replace. We'll click the replace button 1 time, which will cause a replace window to appear. We'll find the text Jack Benny and replace that text with number 1. Click the replace all button. A warning window appears informing us that we won't be able to undo this replace operation. We'll click yes to continue. Close the find and replace window. And we see here in the sales associate field or column that both instances of Jack Benny have been replaced with the number 1. Number 1, remember, is a foreign key. If we look again in the employees table, we see that number 1 is the primary key for Jack Benny. Theodore Osborne has the number 14 for a primary key here in the employees table. We'll switch back to the monthly sales table. And we'll find and replace Theodore Osborne. We'll first copy Theodore Osborne's name by first highlighting it and then clicking the copy button. We'll then click the replace button here on the far right side of the home menu. We'll then paste what we just copied with the Control-V keyboard shortcut, and then type 14 into the Replace With box. Click the Replace All button. Say yes to the Do you want to continue this operation question? Close the Find and Replace window. And we see that the three instances of Theodore Osborne have been replaced with the number 14. And once again, if we look in the employees table, we see that the record for Theodore Osborne has a primary key of 14. So 14 is the primary key in the employees table, and the foreign key in the monthly sales table. Now we have replaced each of the sales associate names with foreign keys. To make these columns easier to read and to distinguish from each other, we're going to center both of them. First, we'll click the Sales Associate label field to select this entire column. Then we'll click the Center button here on the Home menu. Now we'll click the ID field label to select this entire column, which, remember, is the primary key field for the monthly sales table. We'll then click the Center button here on the Home menu, which centers the selected column. Primary key fields and foreign key fields are extremely important in database queries. So we're going to take a moment here to briefly recap what they are. This record here, for example, which is record number 7, as shown here at the bottom of the Access window, has a number 8 in its primary key field. The primary key field, remember, uniquely identifies a particular row or record. This record has a number 7 in its Sales Associate field, which is, in this table, a foreign key field now. If we look in the Employees table, we see that number 7 is the primary key for this record, which is the contact information for Sales Associate Paul Barnes. If we go back to the monthly sales table, we know that Paul Barnes is the sales associate in this record. He's the one who sold this chair for $38.99 on October 3rd. In an earlier section, we changed the sales associate names to foreign keys. This being the case, we need to change the data type for this field from text to number. To do that, we'll first click the Datasheet tab one time, then click the little arrow on the right side of the data type box and select Number from the drop-down menu. A warning window has appeared explaining that some data may be lost. We know this won't be the case as we've been careful, so we'll click the Yes button here, and the data type for this field has been changed. In this section, we are going to run a database query that will contain data from both the monthly sales table and the employees table. We'll first click the Create tab near the top of the Access window. Then we'll click the Query Design button here on the Create menu, which starts a new query for us. We'll use the Show Table window here to add both the Employees table, which is already highlighted, and the Monthly Sales table. We'll then close the Show Table window here. Now these two tables have already been joined together through their primary key fields, but this is not what we want. So we'll delete this join by right mouse clicking on it, and then by selecting Delete from the pop-up menu. Please remember from the previous section that the ID field in the Employees table corresponds directly to the Sales Associate foreign key field in the Monthly Sales table. So these are the two fields that we need to join together. So we'll first click on the Sales Associate field here one time. Then, with the tip of the screen arrow still over this field, we'll press and hold down the left mouse button and then move the mouse on the mouse pad to place the tip of the screen arrow directly over the ID field on the Employees table. We'll then stop moving the mouse on the mouse pad and release the left mouse button that we had been holding down. This joins the two tables together. Primary key field to foreign key field. Now we'll select the fields that we wish to appear in this query. First, the last name field from the Employees table. Also the first name field from the Employees table. Now we'll click in the third box here, which causes the little arrow to appear on the right side of this column. Click that arrow one time and select the item field from the monthly sales table. We also want the retail price field from the monthly sales table. So we'll select that as well. And finally, the sale date, which is also in the monthly sales table. Now that we have selected the fields and have joined the tables together, we can run this query by clicking the Run button, which is near the upper left corner of the Access window. And here is the outcome of our query. Now this query has given us 26 records. We know this from looking at the bottom of the Access window. If we switch to the monthly sales table by clicking its tab here, we see that this table contains 26 records, which is a good indication that our query is correct. Now we'll return to our query by clicking its tab. Now we want to make the text in this query bigger to make it easier to read. To do that, we'll perform the Control-A keyboard shortcut, which will select this entire query. Then we'll click the little arrow that's on the right side of the font size box here, and select the larger font size from the drop-down menu. This makes the text in the query easier to read. But please note that we now have some number signs here in the sale date field. Some of the entries in the sale date field are too wide for the current width of the sale date column or field. To fix this, we'll first click the sale date label here to select this entire column. Click the right mouse button and select column width from the pop-up menu. Click the best fit button here on the column width window. Which makes the sale date column wide enough to accommodate its longest data entry. You can modify a query by first right mouse clicking on the Query tab and by selecting Design View from the pop-up menu. In this demonstration, we'll add the wholesale price field from the monthly sales table to this query. Now, we'll run this query again. Now, the wholesale price field has been added to this query. Now we'll save this query by clicking the floppy disk icon near the top left corner of the Access window. A Save As window has appeared. We'll type a name for this query into the query name box, which is Sales Report, and click the OK button one time. Now we'll close this query by right mouse clicking its tab and by selecting Close from the pop-up menu. The query, with its descriptive name, appears on the left side of the Access window. We can reopen it by double-clicking it. Knock, knock. To create a data entry form for your database with the Form Wizard, you can first click the Create tab and then click the More Forms button here on the Create menu. And select Form Wizard from the drop-down menu. This will cause a Form Wizard window to appear. You can select the table that will be used in this form from the Tables/Queries box. This form will be used to add records to the monthly sales table in this database. So we'll select that table. We'll then select the fields that we wish to appear on this form, which in this example will be Sales Associate, Item, Retail Price, Wholesale Price, and Sale Date. We won't put the ID field for the monthly sales table onto this data entry form because the ID field here is a primary key field and is a auto number field. The Access program will automatically insert this value for each new record or row that is created for this table. We'll click the Next button here and select a layout for this data entry form. We can select from Justified, Datasheet, Tabular, and Columnar. Click the Next button and select a style for this form, such as Median or Foundry. In this example, we'll go with Office. Click the Next button again, and we'll click inside the title box here to put the blinking line there. Press the backspace key on the computer keyboard to erase the default text, and then type in the title that will appear on this form, which in this example will be monthly sales. We want to open this form after we finish creating it, so we'll leave the Open radio button selected. Finally, we'll click the Finish button to view our form. You can very quickly create a data entry form by first clicking the Create tab, and then by clicking the Form button here on the Create menu. As mentioned earlier, we don't need the ID field on a data entry form, as the ID field is an auto number field. So we'll remove it by first clicking on it one time to select it, and then by clicking the right mouse button and selecting Delete from the pop-up menu. In addition to data entry, you can use a form to view the records in the table that the form is an interface for. To do this, you can click the arrows at the bottom of the form window to cycle through the table records. This, for example, is record number 9. Which is showing us a tie was sold for $6.64 on October 4th. If we return to the monthly sales table by clicking its tab one time, we can use the arrows at the bottom of this window to take us to record number 9. To see the record, it is currently on display in the monthly sales form. You can change a form's title by first switching to Form Design View by clicking the little arrow underneath the View button at the top left corner of the Access window, and then by selecting Design View from the drop-down menu. Here in Design View, you can highlight the current title, and then retype it. You can then switch back to Form View by clicking the little arrow underneath the View button again, and by selecting Form View from the drop-down menu. In this demonstration, we're going to use the monthly sales form to add a new record to the monthly sales table. To do that, we'll first make the form active, then click the New button near the top of the Access window, which causes a new blank record to appear. We'll then type in the ID number of the sales associate who sold this item, which is a Ming Vos. We'll then click inside the retail price box and type in the retail price for this item, which is $555.44. We'll click inside the wholesale price box to put the blinking line there, and then type in the wholesale price, which is $321 even. And finally, the sale date, which is November 11th, 2008. We'll then save this record by clicking the Save button, and then we'll confirm that this record has been added to the monthly sales table by clicking the Monthly Sales Table tab, and then by clicking the Refresh All button. We'll need to scroll down to the bottom of the Access window by using the scroll bar on the right side of the window. And here is the record that we just added to the monthly sales table through the monthly sales form. A sales associate text box may be fine for our demonstration. But if somebody types in a sales associate ID number that doesn't exist, then we're going to have problems in our database. We can avoid this by switching the sales associate text box for a combo box. Here's how that works. We'll first switch to Design View. Before we begin, we'll give ourselves a little more room to work here by moving the form footer down. To do that, we can use the mouse to place the tip of the screen cursor directly over the side of the form footer box, as shown here. Press and hold down the left mouse button, and then move the mouse on the mouse pad straight down. Now we're going to delete the Sales Associate text box. To do that, we'll first click on the box one time to select it. Click the right mouse button and select Delete from the pop-up menu. This removes that text box and the text box label from the form. Now that we have deleted the Sales Associate text box from this form, we can replace it with a Sales Associate combo box. To add a combo box to your form, or any other form control, you first need to make sure that the Use Control Wizards icon has been activated, as it is here. You can then click on the form control that you wish to use one time, which will turn your screen cursor into a plus sign when it's over the form. After the screen cursor becomes a plus sign, you can draw the form control on the form. To do that, first press and hold down the left mouse button, and then move the mouse on the mouse pad to draw the form control. Don't worry about size for right now. You can adjust that later. After you have drawn the form control, you can stop moving the mouse on the mouse pad and release the left mouse button that you had been holding down. After you release the mouse button, a combo box wizard window will appear. By default, the I want the combo box to look up the values in a table or query button will be pre-selected for you. This is what we'll be doing in this demonstration. So we'll click the Next button here and select the table whose values we wish to populate this combo box with, which in this example will be the Employees table, which has already been selected for us. We'll then click the Next button here. You'll then need to select the fields that you wish to use for this combo box, which in this example will be the ID field, which is the primary key field for the Employees table. We'll then click the Next button here. And then decide how we want these primary keys, these Sales Associate ID numbers, to appear in the combo box. Ascending order will be fine, lowest to highest. We'll click the Next button. We can then specify how wide we want the ID column in the combo box to be. This box looks pretty wide here, so we'll make it narrower. Click the Next button again. This screen is a bit more complicated. As always, whenever you land on a new window, carefully read the information on that window before you make any selections or click any buttons. Here, we're informed that Microsoft Office Access can store the selected value from your combo box in your database, which is what we want it to do. And we'll see exactly how this works when we actually demonstrate the form. So we'll click the Store That Value in this field radio button, and then we'll select Sales Associate from the drop-down menu. So when someone makes a selection, meaning a Sales Associate ID number from the combo box, that value will be placed into the Sales Associate field in the monthly sales table. And again, we'll see how this works a bit later. We'll click the next button again, and then type in a label for this combo box. This combo box will contain the Sales Associate ID numbers from the Employees table. So we'll type Sales Associate number. Finally, we'll click the Finish button one time. And here is our combo box control. Now we'll switch back to Form View. And here's how our form looks now. Please note that the Sales Associate number box has a 3 in it. This is the first record in the monthly sales table. If we switch back to the monthly sales table and scroll up to the top, we see that the first record, or row, in this table has a number 3 in the Sales Associate field. In this section, we're going to use this form, which now features a Sales Associate combo box, to create a new record for the monthly sales table. To do that, we'll first click the New button near the top of the Access window, which causes a new blank record to appear. We'll type in the item that was sold into the item box, cigar case in this example. Click inside the retail price box and type in the retail price for the cigar case. Wholesale price, sale date, and Sales Associate. We'll first use the mouse to click the little arrow on the right side of the Sales Associate ID combo box and select the Sales Associate ID number of the salesperson who sold the cigar case, which completes this record. We'll then save this record into the monthly sales table by clicking the Save button near the top of the Access window. Now, if we switch to the monthly sales table by clicking its tab, and by then clicking the Refresh All button, we can scroll down to the bottom of the Access window and see the record that we just added to this table. In the previous section, we tested the monthly sales form here to make sure that it's functional. But we still have a couple of aesthetic things here. The sales associate label is a different color than the other labels on this form. The sales associate combo box is a bit wider than it needs to be. To fix these things, we'll first switch to Design View. We'll then select all of the labels on this form by first pressing and holding down the Shift key on the computer keyboard. And then by clicking each of the labels as shown here. We'll then release the Shift key and click the Property Sheet button on the far right side of the Access window. We'll then click the Format tab here on the Property Sheet. Click inside the 4-color box to cause the little arrow to appear. Click that arrow one time and select a color from the drop-down menu. This applies that color to all of the selected labels. We'll then click the Sales Associate combo box one time to select it. Make sure that Format is still selected here on the Property Sheet. Click inside the Width box to put the blinking line in there. Press the Backspace key to erase the current width and type in a smaller one in its place. Press the Enter key one time. And the Sales Associate combo box is less wide. We'll then switch back to Form View. And here's how our form looks now. To quickly create a formatted report of the data in an Access table or query, you can first open that object in Data Sheet View. And then click the Create tab. Click the Report button here on the Create menu. And here's our report. To create a report with the Report Wizard, You can first click the Create tab, and then click the Report Wizard button here on the Create menu, which will cause the Report Wizard window to appear. You can select the table or query that you wish to base this report on from the Tables and Queries box, as shown here. You can then select the fields that you wish to appear in this report. Click the Next button. You can then, if you wish, add grouping levels to your report. All of the fields or columns in this report have equal weight, so we'll just click the Next button here. You can then sort your records in ascending or descending order. In this example, we'll sort the sale date column in descending order. We'll click the Next button on this screen. And select a layout for this report, which in this example will be tabular. You can, if you wish, select an orientation, either landscape or portrait. If you have a lot of fields or columns in your report, you may want to select the landscape orientation. In this example, we don't have that many fields, so we'll stay with portrait. We'll click the Next button again. And select a style for this report. Which in this example will be Northwind. Click the Next button on this screen. And type in a title for this report, which in this example will be Sales Report. So we'll click inside the title box here to put the blinking line or text insertion point inside that box. Press the backspace key on the computer keyboard to erase the word query. And then click the Finish button. And here's our report. Chances are you'll have to adjust your report's formatting a bit. Here, for example, we see that the retail price column or field has been cut off a bit. We can fix this by first closing the print preview and then by opening this report in Design View as previously described. Now we can click on the property sheet which is near the upper right corner of the Access window, which will cause the Property Sheet window to appear. We'll first click the Format tab to cause the formatting styles to appear. Now, in order to make the last column or field in this report fit onto the page, we'll make the first name and last name columns a bit less wide. So we'll first click the last name header here one time to select it. We can then click inside the width box here on the property sheet. Press the backspace key on the keyboard to erase the present width and type in a new width in its place. Press the Enter key one time. And the last name header and detail field are both less wide. We'll do the same thing with the first name column. We'll click on the header field one time, whose width that we wish to change. Click inside the width box. Press the backspace key on the computer keyboard to clear the present width, and then type in a new width in its place. Press the Enter key on the computer keyboard one time. And now, both the last name and first name columns have a 1-inch field width. If we return to Print Preview, we see that the retail price column or field is no longer cut off. In this section, we're going to center the report header here and then change its text size. To do that, we'll first close the property sheet window here by clicking its close button. We then need to expand the sales report header here. To do that, we'll first click on it one time to select it. We'll then place the screen cursor over the right border of this header. Please note that the screen cursor has turned into a double-sided arrow. We'll then press and hold down the left mouse button and then move the mouse on the mouse pad to the right until this field takes up the entire page. Now we'll stop moving the mouse on the mouse pad and release the left mouse button that we had been holding down. Now we can center the header text in this header cell by first bringing back the property sheet by clicking its button one time. We'll then click inside the text align cell. Click the little arrow that will appear and select Center from the drop-down menu. the text has now been centered in the report header field. Now we'll make the report header text bigger by first clicking inside the font size box. Now we'll click the little arrow that appeared on the right side of the font size box and find it to be empty. That's no problem. We'll simply press the backspace key on the computer keyboard to erase the current font size, and then type in a new font size in its place. Press the Enter key one time, and the font size is now bigger. We'll click the Print Preview button here on the View menu, and we see that the sales report text has been chopped off. To fix this, we'll close Print Preview and then use the mouse to make the report header field taller. This should be fine now. You can adjust the fonts for the page headers and detail fields the same way. It's always a good idea to print preview your Access reports before you actually send them to your printer. To do this, you can first click the Microsoft Office icon near the top left corner of the Access window. Mouse over Print on the drop-down menu and click Print Preview one time. Now, as we can see, the portrait orientation isn't wide enough for all of our columns. Two of the columns are being put onto a different page. We can fix this, hopefully, by clicking the Landscape Orientation button, which has caused a warning window to appear, informing us that the section width is greater than the page width, and there are no items in the additional space, so some pages may be blank. We'll click the OK button here and see what we have. It looks like all of the columns are fitting onto the first page here in Landscape View. We can zoom in by clicking the Zoom button and selecting a larger zoom from the drop-down menu. Everything looks fine here, but we do have a blank printed page to deal with. To avoid printing this blank page, we can first click the printer icon here, which causes the print window to appear. We'll then click the Pages radio button and specify that we want pages 1 to 1 printed. Then click the OK button one time. This warning window has appeared again. We've already dealt with this issue, so we'll click the OK button here. And now, only the first page has been sent to the printer. We didn't print page 2, which is totally blank. So now we'll close the print preview window, which returns us to our report. If there's no need to save a report, you can first close the report by right mouse clicking its tab and by selecting Close from the pop-up menu. You can then delete the report from your Access database by first right mouse clicking it on the left side of the Access window, and then by selecting Delete from the pop-up menu. A window will appear asking if you really wish to do this. If so, click the Yes button one time, which will remove the report from your Access database.